Welcome to The Bottom Line. I'm Pastor Rick Utze from Maranatha Community Fellowship in Plain City, Ohio. In Utah, there was a passenger train that was going down the tracks, and there's actually a video of it crashing into a FedEx truck. And it was interesting because the truck was coming one way, there was a police officer going the other, and he had stopped, and he had a dash cam, so they actually had this whole thing on camera. And so you could actually see one truck was going in front, he barely made it across the tracks, here comes a truck the other way, so it's a tractor trailer, the tractor part was across the tracks, and the train just slammed broadside into the trailer. And nobody was hurt, so we can thank God for that. But the trailer, I mean, you could see just for a split second before it went out of view of the camera, you could just see boxes just started to fly, and there was just destruction everywhere, and the thing flew apart. And I was wondering, well, why did that happen? And they made note in the article that the flashing lights weren't going, and the gates that come down didn't come down. And sure enough, when you watch the video, that's exactly what happened. The gates were up, there were no flashing lights, people were crossing the railroad track, and it's like, where were the warning signs? You know, they had no idea a train was coming unless it was blowing its horn. You couldn't tell from the dash cam whether it was or not. And so as I was thinking about that, it's like, well, there should have been warning signs. And that's the investigation now, is to say, why weren't they working? And as we think about our lives and the Bible gives lots of warning signs. It tells us of the good things we have in Jesus Christ, and of eternal life, and of salvation, and of forgiveness. But it also gives us warnings about our old life, and how when we have forgiveness, our lives are transformed. We're new creatures, and we're not supposed to live according to the old way. And it tells of the destruction of sin. As a matter of fact, Matthew 7:13 and 14 says, "Enter by the narrow gate, for the gate is wide and the way is easy that leads to destruction." So there are paths that lead to destruction. There are other paths that lead to life. And so the Bible has all these warnings. He even tells us as Christians that we need to admonish or warn or teach or instruct other people in the ways of God, so that we can become more mature to be like Christ. So there's all these warnings in growing and maturing and being like Christ, and it's up to all of us. I mean, it's good to receive a warning before the crash actually happens, isn't it? Because a lot of times afterwards, unlike this case where there weren't any serious injuries, many times, you know, cleaning up after the big mess is a job, and it's work, and people's lives are destroyed. And so that's why God gives us warnings and instructions. And then here's the bottom line, and this is the interesting thing about the video. As soon as the truck was hit, another car then had come across the tracks afterwards, and then the lights started flashing, and the gates came down, and there's a truck and trailer damaged and destroyed. It's like, I wonder what made that come on then, after the train was clearly passed, unless another one was coming, who knows. But, you know, in our lives, as we look at people, you know, it's a loving thing to give warning signs to people when we see them heading down a path that leads to harm. So let's remember to be loving to our friends, to our neighbors. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time on The Bottom Line.